After discovering Ren and his battle against Lyme disease, an idea sparked. This idea became a video, a project, and finally, a movement.
If those 2 million people would donate €1, pound, dollar, yen, whatever, if they would donate an incredibly small amount of money every month, I mean, that would be huge to donate to research. So it seems like it's nothing, but in the end, I mean, just imagine if there were donations for millions that would go to funding the research every year. In the next few years, that would probably make a huge difference because there is such a huge lack of funding. I just wanted people to think about that and to go back to what he is saying and what he stands for every time that he talks about how a rising tide lifts all ships. Unity is always what brings change.
You know what? I want to be part of the wave of change because it desperately needs change, man. There's not nearly enough research being done. People are left being to suffer, and I will not sit by and watch this happen for my whole life, where the medical community just ignores the fact that people are dying. What we need is to be solid, man. We need to be one unit if we're to overcome this. And what we need to do is we need to rally and we need to join as people, as a group, as a collective. And this isn't just sick people, healthy people that know people that are suffering. You owe it to your loved ones to band together. Needs to be a movement if we're to overcome this.
And I hope it'll make you think about what you can do and what we all can do together.
Hello Lisa, my name is Joline. I'm a recent renegade from the Netherlands. I watched your video about donations within the renegade community and how with the number of followers Ren now has, we could really make a difference. I agree. I would love to brainstorm with you on this if you're interested. See what we can come up with. You can email me back or get in touch with me on Discord. What do you think? Much love, Joline.
What was it for you watching my video that prompted you to send me that email, although we didn't know each other at all at that point in time?
Yeah, it's right. I didn't know who you were. I had not seen your channel before either. I think it's just because I got into watching a lot of Ren content. And my YouTube algorithm changed and started feeding me different channels who had the subject of Ren or the topic of Ren. So your video popped up basically out of nowhere. And I started watching it. And I had just, I think, a couple of days before finished reading Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. And in that book, he basically mentions that sometimes there are ideas that are just floating in the ether, and that as an artist, you have to align or attune yourself to be able to pick those up. And I am not an artist, but I immediately felt like this was such a situation where it was an idea that floated in the ether when I watched your video, and I just happened to pluck it out of the air because it was basically you saying, wouldn't it be nice if we did something together? And then the gears in my mind started turning. Okay, but there's always a lot of decisions that people need to make, a lot of things that you need to consider when you donate, where you donate to. What if we find something to do to make it easier for people, basically, to join in, to have a little bit of momentum, an event going. And it was January, so I figured Ren's birthday is in March. That would leave us plenty of time to organize things and to set it up, and to make something special, basically, and to to have the birthday of Ren as kind of a glue or something to motivate and unite everybody from the community, to get everybody involved in that, and to make something very positive and very nice, and basically make sure that we did the decision making, the thinking, put in the effort and the work to set everything up, and to make it as easy as possible for people to join in and to feel like they have been part of something bigger. That's basically what happened. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and luckily for me, you said yes.
There are some moments like this in life where I think it does quite often happen that we get offered some type of opportunity, and there are some times where we don't see things as an opportunity, so we don't take it because we don't see it that way. And then there are some times where it just kind of aligns itself, and
Yeah.
where when I got your email, because I had been on my side after the video was published, it did quite well. I think it was shared a lot, and because I was a little bit well, I mean, I put a title in that was questioning people, because the title of the video is "Where Are the Renegades?" And so
Right.
I thought, this is people are going to ask themselves, what is this video about, and what does she mean? And then also because my idea was to be very thought-provoking, because at the beginning it was just an idea, and it was just this, as you said, this floating idea of what would that look like if we all come together? What could we do? And we know from the numbers that we can do something if everyone gets together and this becomes a movement. But how could we structure this? And is anyone thinking the same thing? And that was my thinking when I was doing the video. And then when I published it, as I said, it did quite well. And then suddenly I started getting all of these comments on the video. And a lot of people, most of the comments were very positive, and a lot of people were like, yeah, great idea. What should we do? What's your idea, Lisa?
Right.
Where should this go? And then I was getting held accountable to do something, because I said that, and I was like, well, maybe I should really do something. And in the process of that, of getting all of this feedback of, we're ready to do something, kind of, can you tell us what the project is, and we'll be there. That's kind of the feedback I got from the comments. And then, yeah, and then a few days later you sent me that email, because I think it was really quite close to the publishing of my video. It was only a few days after. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Probably. Yeah.
thought, well, if I want to do something, yeah, I thought, if I want to do something with this, I should do it now. There's someone ready to put the work in, because that's also what I got from your email, is that you wanted to create something with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a period where I was really anxious and fearful about everything that's going on in the world, and I stopped watching the news because it made me too anxious, and I felt very a little bit lost in what to do.
Yeah.
And since finding Ren, I had a lot of different um, insights and things going on in my mind, because his music is so introspective and inspiring. It leads you to really think about stuff. And I
Yeah.
definitely saw him as someone who is making choices based out of love and positivity.
Yeah.
And looking at myself, I saw that um, I was making, well, most of my decisions were motivated by fear, um, and I didn't want to do that anymore. But it's hard to unlearn something that you've been doing basically your entire
Oh,
life.
yeah. Yeah.
But I really wanted to see what would happen if I started making decisions instead of avoiding stuff out of fear. What would happen, and would it make me less hopeless if I started taking action towards something instead of away from something? Well, let's start at the beginning then. So I wanted to know from you if you could explain a little bit about your choice to go for the Pasteur Institute, because you put a lot of thought and effort into it and made contact with that institute for this fundraiser. So I would like you to explain a little bit about why you chose the Pasteur Institute and the reasoning behind it, basically.
Yeah, so the thing is, because it started off with this originally with the inspiration of Ren and his situation. He has a very specific situation regarding his health with Lyme disease, but going off of that, I didn't want to I didn't want to narrow it down too much to just one disease or one issue, and have it open to almost everyone, because it was important for me that this idea of the wave of change was going to be for the community. And in the community, there are many people that are ill with Lyme disease, but then there are many people that are ill with other things. And if you take it on a global scale, there are all diseases. And so I didn't want to have it just narrowed down to one. And then also because in my initial thinking, I had already kind of set the stage to not go for a charity. And not because I don't want to help charities, because most of them are, amazing movements and amazing projects with great people working for them. But I wanted the funds to go to research. And so instead of really narrowing it down to one type of research, the idea was to open it up to the whole community. So going off of that, then I thought, how can I make this really global, and what type of beneficiary could I find to really encompass everything? And so obviously going down that route, then I thought this has to be a research lab or a research institute or something that is a little bit bigger and that is working on multiple programs and multiple projects. So then I started looking around what I knew of the European research centers, because I'm based in France, and then also globally, which ones were were very established and had good reputation. And I think what drove me mostly to the Pasteur Institute is because they have been established for so long, since 1887, and it's been such a recognized institution here in France, but also then in the world, that I thought they're very trustworthy of everything that they put out, and how the kind of the way they carry their how should I say, the way they portray themselves and what they want to do and what they're trying to achieve with the different programs. So it was very, very obvious for me that it was one of the best institutes we could choose for this, because it did encompass all types of different medical research for all types of illnesses and diseases that don't have a cure yet, which could touch obviously anyone who wanted to donate. And then also because they are a very trustworthy institute, and that they're doing great work. So thinking about everything, I think I narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 centers, and they were also the most transparent in the use of funds. And so that was very important for me, that people could really trust where the money was going. I've always been a big advocate of speaking up for, how should I say, like, not always for others, but also for causes, and trying to keep the conversation going, because I think it's the minimum of what you can do when there is an issue, is at least to have a conversation and try to make people talk about a certain topic, because then it sparks it can spark, you know, change and a movement and everything. So this was kind of just the first idea of this video, was just to spark the conversation in the community, but then also to be able to really do something about it. I think it really, for the both of us, kind of evolved over time too, because it was the first idea, just the basic idea of we can maybe do things together, then going to what if we really did something, and then to, okay, let's structure this and really decide what we're going to do, and then to really launching it, and then seeing how it grew. And I think you and I don't know, I wanted to ask you, like, how did you feel when things really started to gear up during the campaign, and how did you feel when that shift happened, where you thought, oh, this is getting a lot bigger than what we expected it to be at the beginning?
Yeah, I had the exact same question that I wanted to ask you as well, because seeing those donations come in, I mean, it's one thing to come up with this and to set it up, and then to press launch, and then to see stuff happening, like seeing the first donations coming in, and seeing. We had reached out to reactors to ask them to promote stuff for us, but to see actually that happening, seeing videos for, I think the first reactor was Wijnand Fourie. And when he came out with his videos talking about the Wave of Change and sharing the link, for me, it was like, I was a little bit taken aback because it was real. Yeah. And people were really responding. And it was, I don't know, it just felt so good to see things really take hold, and to see the reaction and people talking and reaching out back to us, or responding to our requests, and being so positive about us asking them for help with spreading the word, or letting us know that they wanted to donate, or letting us know that they wanted to help share this message. And that was, I think that became that added to the idea of, yes, actual change is definitely possible, because we are doing it. This is what is happening in the community. People are talking about it. People are coming together. And it was a little bit slow at first, but not, I mean, just in reality sense, it was. Yeah. And then after, I think, I don't know, a couple of days, you really could see things changing and started picking up.
I want to talk about this fundraiser that's happening of Ren, set up by two renegades. It's called Wave of Change. This fundraiser will support
donations came in faster. I remember one afternoon we had, we were both, I think, looking at the platform, and I think 4, 5, 6 donations came in 20 minutes. So we were like, what is happening? Who is doing this? Who is talking about us?
Exactly. I remember that. Yeah.
And I think you eventually figured out that Blindside was doing a live, and that the donations were coming from his audience, and that was awesome.
It was incredible to see in real time the effect of promoting it, because we had this idea of, like, well, reactors are probably the best way to go because they have a large audience and they can really promote this. But then to see in real time someone is on a live right now talking about something, and at the same time we do have the donations that are coming in,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so have that immediate, kind of response was incredible to see. And that's where I think we were both kind of getting conscious of what was happening, and where we thought, this is probably going somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it didn't take us long to reach the first goal, which was entirely symbolic, just 2025 for the year of 2025.
Yeah.
And when we actually reached it, was like, okay, let's get an actual goal. Let's do 5,000.
Yeah.
And
oh, I remember these conversations because we changed this goal so many times. So
yeah,
I remember this first because we hit the 2025 or over 2000 in a matter of, I think it was the 4 or 5 first days, somewhere in that region.
I think so.
And
Yeah.
and then we called, because we did call on a daily basis, and we called each other and we were like, well, we still got 10 days to go. So what should we do now? And kind of like crunching numbers and averages, I was like, well, I think 5 would be quite, a large number, but I think we could get that if everyone comes together. And then that was done in 3 days.
That was nuts. When we reached 5K, that was so wild. I
Yeah.
think I said it to you before. I think emotionally I kind of peaked at that point.
Yeah.
And I haven't processed anything that's happened after.
Well, I think it's also because if we had set the first day at the launch, if we had set the goal at 10K, I think it would have been a very different sentiment than what we experienced, seeing it went so well, and it was just surpassing all of the ideas we had and everything. So I think it was so like, this was kind of like a dreamy number, because I remember us both laughing about it a few days before hitting 10K. I think it was when the change happened with the 5,000, where we were laughing, and you said like, oh, we could almost go to 10K, but it was just for laughs.
I was not really serious about that, no.
No, not at all.
And it was just completely, what happened was basically that we didn't gauge correctly what the response was going to be, like several times. The response was so much more positive and so much bigger than either of us had anticipated. So if people were like, why do they keep changing the target? Well, that's because of everybody else. And it was,
but
it was wild.
I think, I don't, as I have said multiple times, I don't really have this idea of believing in fate, but I do believe that sometimes just things, get into place, things align themselves somehow. There are some points in time where everything is going in the same direction. So everything is kind of coming together at the same moment for multiple reasons, but then just clicking. And I think this basic idea of March is Ren's birthday month, so that would make sense. And then getting into the, really into the campaign of the fundraiser and things going well. I think the fact that we passed those 5K, and then it was 7.5 that we also passed, and then it was 9, because it's so stupid. I actually, the day we passed the 7.5, I can remember it was my daughter's birthday, and I was in the car and I called you. And I was like, Joline, what should we do now? Because I think it's important we have a goal and we don't just leave it like this. And I remember this phone call, and then we got off the phone call and I changed the target. And I was so afraid of putting 10K in, because I thought, this is a bit much. This is overreaching what we can do. And it was just because of the number, because it felt so wild to get
huge.
to that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought, oh, maybe, going from 7,500 or 600 to 9,000, that can be done, in the next few days. But then we also had Ren's actual birthday coming up. And I thought that is a huge incentive for people who want to participate in the movement to really be like, this can be almost a spiritual birthday gift for him. And so also donating in that sense. And but I was so afraid of putting that 10,000 euro number in. It was just like too wild. And I thought, let's be reasonable here. And let's do this, because I'm not sure if we can make it. And although everything was telling us and showing us that average wise on a day-to-day basis, we were way over that. So I could have put the 10 in right there. But yeah, it was so strange. I think it's mainly because it's just our first try at this wave of change and at this not only the fundraiser, but also the entire idea behind it and how the community would respond to it. And I think now we have a very good idea of how the community responded. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was crazy. Do you have this feeling like the 5K was just a very surreal moment for you, that was just, as you said, like the peak? But then how did you feel on Ren's birthday on the 29th when we got to the 10,000 on his birthday? Because that for me that was incredible. And we were on the phone, but how did you feel about that moment?
I say the peak because I got very emotional when we hit 5K, and I don't remember if I called you or I left you a voice message.
Yeah, no, we called each other.
Yeah, and I my voice was shaking, and I was just, it was really an emotional moment to actually hit 5K.
Yeah.
And I think after that, it's not like it didn't hit me, but I didn't process, because I got emotional like a ton of times after that as well.
Oh yeah.
And but it was just like, I think I'm still playing catch up with that, because it was so unbelievable. And so the response was so amazing. And I remember one night in particular was when Dan from Peace Beach went live for his fundraiser live stream.
Oh,
we had so many donations coming in, and he blew the target. Like, I think he was
crazy.
Just before the 7.5.
No, it was the 7.5 target, and he went right over it. Immediately.
So when he did it, and he was like, let's see if we can reach this, guys. And I think at the end of his live stream, he was past 8 or something.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. It was amazing.
That was so awesome to see. And it was like it kept building after that. It kept building. And I was just, I don't know. I think I was just playing catch up emotionally. And I got emotional so many times after that, seeing also people talking with each other, connecting with each other, sharing things with each other. I think everything that came after was just so, basically better than what I could have anticipated. And that was so awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And then on his birthday to actually hit the 10K was absolutely, that was awesome.
That was the cherry on the cake of the entire thing. For me, it was like, this was a moment, like kind of all of this build up to that was something I had kind of had in my mind, going like, wouldn't that be absolutely amazing, to that everything happens at the right time, kind of. And also there was, for me, it was very it was quite it was not stressful, but it was a very intense day on Saturday, because we both knew we would hit the 10 that day because of the amount of donations coming in. And it was just a matter of when, but it would be, on his birthday, obviously. And I know we were in touch a lot that day, going like, I think we're going to make it, this is going to happen. And then to know that we had this time difference with him in being in Mexico, it would be about something like 7-8 hour time difference with him. So he was still asleep when all of this was happening.
Yes.
And so in my head, I was like, this guy is going to wake up And to see that, hey, happy birthday, we got 10K for our medical research. And I thought that was just, it's impossible for us to put ourselves in his shoes, I think, because that feeling must be so peculiar, having people from all over the world that you don't know, basically, doing stuff in your name and doing something for you, or in your honor. It must be very special, and it must be a wild feeling to see that growing and going on. But I thought this is just perfection, and I had been doing the birthday videos for him from the reactors and the renegades that I posted that day, and then we posted the videos. He saw the videos, he reposted them, and I thought, this is great, because he saw the like the implication, and there was so much love in the videos and so much recognition for what he has done, and then having that
also
linked,
people linking, tagging him in birthday messages and showing him on social media. Yeah,
of course, and having that linked to our movement and what we had created, and to have all of that come together and then get to this point of we are actually getting over the 10,000. It was, for me, it was like, there are a few moments where everything comes together the right way, and where just everything clicks, and it was an amazing day.
What's going on, bro? Listen, this is your boy, That Singer Reactions. I want to wish you a happy birthday, bro. Listen.
Happy birthday, Ren. I hope you're having a good one, mate. I started reacting to your videos about 3 months ago, and it had such an impact on me that when Wave of Change got in touch, I just had to get involved into something so positive.
Hey Ren, Becca Doss here, fellow Lyme disease, mast activation syndrome, and general chronic illness and mental health warrior, fighting alongside you with a very quick poem for your 35th birthday. So here we go. Don't worry, it's pretty quick.
Ren, what do we say about you, brother? First of all, my name is Bradley, aka the Black Speed, man, and I just wanted to say happy birthday to you. Happy as a birthday seed. We both the same age, we both out here almost on our unk status, you know what I mean? But we make it look good, so we're not worried about that. Also, say what's up, Carl.
Happy birthday, Ren. Yo, now I get to personally ask you, did you get the flowers I sent?
Happy birthday, Ren, you beautiful bellend. Not that I've seen many bellends to compare the beauty of, did he? But I just wanted to say you're a legend. That's the word, legend.
Brother Ren, happy birthday. Bah, bah. Crow from Crow Reactions here, your Indigenous sister that you've never met from Australia.
Hi Ren, happy birthday. My name's Joanne. I've been drawing cartoons for a while, but I wasn't sharing because I needed to see somebody else who had a chronic illness and was also sharing their work, and then I found you.
Oi oi, wishing you a very happy birthday, Ren. Keep pushing on, stay strong and be well, especially today.
Happy birthday, Ren, coming from your boy, Vibe Reactions Ray. And like everybody else that's part of the Vibe Gang, and Ren, you are part of the Vibe Gang, I'm going to sing you a song like I sing to every other renegade and Vibe Gang that comes to my live.
Hi, Ren. That's how everybody starts out, right? I feel like it's only the right thing to do. But happy birthday, brother. Today we honor the illest of all time. Happy birthday.
Ren! Happy birthday, man. It's Parksker here. I do reaction videos. I hope you know your energy permeates space and time, man.
Hey, Ren. Just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. The 29th of March makes you an Aries. Let's read the top 8 traits of an Aries, okay?
And I think after that, I really did not expect for us to get it to the point it ended at. I thought, okay, so this is because it was like the peak. it was obviously Ren's birthday was the peak of the fundraiser.
Yeah.
And it was the moment over that Friday, Saturday, Sunday time where we had the most donations, because it was all about his birthday and about that our story for the Wave of Change. And then I thought, well, we had these few messages from people saying they wanted to donate, but they had to do it at the beginning of the month. And I thought, oh, we'll have a few come in. And then we did 2,000 more. And it was just,
That was, yes. I'm glad that we could extend the deadline because, just like you, I also got a couple of messages from people saying, I really want to participate, but I don't get paid until the beginning of the month. And so that we were able to extend the deadline, that it meant that we would end on 12K. That was not something that I saw coming.
Oh no, I didn't either. And as you well know, because we were in communication so much, by the end, it was like that morning, the Saturday morning, that it was officially going to be, that was officially the last day on the fundraiser page. It was a Saturday morning, and I woke up very early because I was bringing my son to a fishing competition. And so I was in the car, and obviously I woke up, and the first thing I did every day waking up during 3 weeks is watch the fundraiser page and see what happened while I was asleep.
I had a button on my phone,
And so I opened up the page and I was like, oh, we're so close. I thought, oh God, it was like somehow it's not really about the number. It's more about this kind of, probably also has to do with my ADHD. Like, I like round numbers, but so I saw this, and it was like 160 euros away from 12K. I was like, oh, we have to do something about this. And when I was driving down to the pond, I was thinking about this all the time. And then I thought, if by the time I get back, and like in the next few hours, nothing is coming in, I'll just put the 160 in there, because I want the number to be round, and that's okay. And then by the time I came back, one person had done the exact same thing. And one person I appreciate a lot, Matt, that is part of the Renegade community. He did that amazing thing, and he wrote down as a note for the homies. And I thought that was, and I was almost crying in front of my computer. I was like, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. It was like the kind of the even if how we constructed it this time was kind of trial and error and trying to see what worked and what didn't, the way it went and how it got to the end was just perfect. It's just perfection. And I thought this worked out so much better than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about the 160 donation, and we've gotten some pretty big numbers, hundreds or 50, but just seeing
1,000.
That was completely nuts.
You remember we were like, is this an error? I hope the person didn't make an error. And we were so intrigued by that thousand euro donation. That was amazing.
It was very late in the evening, and I was in one of the lives. I forgot whose live it was. And at the tail end, I checked the fundraiser page again, and I saw it come in, and you were already gone to bed. And I made a screenshot and I sent it in Instagram to you, and I was like, I don't know, I think you're already asleep, but what the fuck?
I remember that. It was just crazy. And that same person donated a second time and was very very invested in what we were doing. But I think it is really, there are so many components, I think, to why this worked so well.
Yeah.
And I think it's the entirety of what the wave of change represents, and kind of the ethos of what we wanted to promote. And it's not only about illness, and it's not only about medical research.
And
I
not,
think
not only about the big numbers. So shout out to Jim for those ridiculous donations. We love you. But seeing the €5 donations coming in, I would have preferred that this platform allowed for lower ones, but that was not possible.
Yeah.
But that was something that I was so happy about, because to me it signaled that people really understood what the wave of change was meant to represent. So it really made me feel like, yes, this is exactly the sentiment. All these little bits of change, because it's a double, together make a big wave of change. And it doesn't need to be 50 or 100 or higher. It's all the little bits together that together create change. So everybody who donated €5, thank you so much. That was absolutely exactly what we had in mind.
And it actually started with a donation of €5.
Exactly. That's what the whole thing started. Yeah. Shout out to Jamaica.
It was very touching for me, because I know the person also, but it was very, very touching for me to see that as the first donation, because in my mind, I thought, this is the essence of what we're trying to say, is that every small drop is important. So everybody in this fundraiser gave what they could give.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we all do that, on not only on a monetary level, but if we all do that together, as in bringing to the table what we can offer, and everyone can offer different things. And maybe often we think, but what can I offer? I have nothing to offer, but we all have something to bring to the table. And if we bring all of that together, then we can really build a community where everyone is valued for their own skills, and for what they can bring, and for however big or small the importance is of what you think you can offer. There's always something to do if we're all together. And that's exactly what I think was maybe part of the snowballing effect, was also that, like, people not only wanting to be part of this unity and seeing that it was working, but also seeing that actually there were quite a few people donating €5, and that you didn't have to give 50 or 100, but that 5 was fine. And that was 5 plus 5 plus 5 was 12,000.
For me, seeing the number of donations come up was equally as important as seeing the total amount that we raised come up.
Yeah.
Just seeing that we ended on 319 donations, that means that we reached so many people, and so many people took a decision and made this possible, and took action in their own capacity. And that was I was so excited when I saw that number go up, and I hope
I think
in the future we see more.
I think it was more important for me somehow to see how many of the people in the community were participating. And because then we had the 319 from the donations, but next to that we also had all of the people who maybe couldn't donate but who were promoting it.
Exactly.
And so I think the number of people that participated in the wave of change is much bigger than the 319 who could donate. But it also shows the potential, because when I did my video, I talked about the 2 million people that follow Ren.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think going from 319 to 2 million, there's still some potential there that we can tap in and get people to learn what we are about, and what our our idea and movement is about, because I think we also, I wanted to ask you how you feel about this, because our fundamental idea was, what can we do about this? How can we change things? And so our first move was to go to Fundraiser, or to build a fundraiser, and to do that as an action, or as a call to action. But I think I don't know when you realized that this was actually more than a fundraiser.
I think it was when maybe it was a combination of seeing activities on Instagram and also in the lives, the chat for the various live streams that you participated in with Goatsworthy and with Uncle Ray, and different chats that I was also in, and I could see people starting to really talk about this stuff and really connect with each other as well on different platforms. And I think that's what made me see that this is definitely not just a one-time fundraiser.
Yeah, I think that's when I kind of thought, not only the promotion for the fundraiser is working, because more and more people are talking about it that we didn't interact with. Because that's the main thing, is that we created a group of people, of creators and reactors, to interact with directly, where we could like organize things for the lives and really like organize that promotion. But then when it got outside of that circle, and that we started seeing someone did a short on YouTube, someone played a song and recorded themselves and put our name there and the logo and everything, and kind of seeing how it took a life of its own. I think that was maybe the part where I didn't only believe that that people believed in the fundraiser, but where I thought, if someone is really putting the time and effort to create something that is linked to us and to what we are doing, maybe it's because what we represent is more important than the fundraiser. And that the narrative that we're putting out there, being unity and community and positive change in all senses, is maybe more important to people, and that they need it. Because I think the world is, however you see the world now, it is divided. And wherever you place yourself in that world, it's not an easy world to navigate right now. And exactly. I think there's a lot of division, there is a lot of complexities, and people are feeling very insecure in some ways and uncertain of the future. So I think to have this idea of, however you feel about all of this, and however wherever you place yourself in this time in history, then we can still come together as humans and try to help each other out. And I think that's what created this willingness of people to participate.
I think it's a very central need for people to feel that you contribute, and that you get support, and that you can give support, that you are important, and that you are capable of changing something or influencing something. Just for myself, like I said earlier, it helped me feel more at ease at whatever's happening right now, and seeing that something really genuinely positive can come out of that is something that I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah, me too. I think we also I was very, as I said it in the group, in the chat group, before the end, a few days before the end, the official end of the fundraiser. And I talked about it directly with you, where I said I'm a little bit wary of when it's going to stop, because what's happening after that. And I don't want this, because I felt this connection we had all together in this team that we had built, kind of, and the fact that people are like-minded and we're very happy to connect and to find each other. And I thought, we cannot let this, fizzle out and become, go into nothingness.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was a little bit I was thinking a lot about, is this just going to be over? And then on Sunday, it doesn't exist anymore, and that's it?
Well, is it going to be over, Lisa? That's a great segue. That's a great segue.
Well, no, it's not. No,
it's not.
No, I think it showed us, as we said, it's not. Of course, the fundraiser is about the money we can raise for the beneficiary, and the Pasteur Institute have been very happy about what we did, and they're very grateful, and they sent us a beautiful message to thank us for this fundraiser. But I think outside of that, as we said, we created this sense of unity, and the sense that community is more important, and that the community and the unity can then bring change. And then, if we're already all together, if we decide to go in a certain direction for positive change, we can make a difference. And so I think that's where, I remember that phone call where I said, I think we have to do something now. And I think we should not wait for the next time we do a Wave of Change fundraiser, but I think we should go live now with something to keep that continuity for people. So, yeah.
Do you want to disclose about that, or do you want me to disclose about it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously, because I think it's important, to tell people about this, about our idea and what we want to build with this. I think is important, yeah. So go on.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, I was trying to get you to talk about it, but yeah.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Go.
So what we are doing behind the scenes is setting up different spaces. One of them is a Wave of Change Discord server, where we hope to invite a whole bunch of people, people who have been supportive of this wave of change, people who are finding out later and want to support the next one, or people who just have heard about it and want to see if this community is something that they feel comfortable in. And that is a space that we want to launch to connect more with everybody, just to make very inclusive space where people are being supportive of each other, and to expand this group, this circle, that feeling of we can talk to each other and we can help each other and we can lift each other up. I mean, a rising tide lifts all ships. So that's the whole idea, and everybody who joins helps build this community together, just like everybody who shared about the fundraiser or donated to the fundraiser helped build this incredible result that we achieved with the first Wave of Change. The same principles apply to this Discord server, and everybody who steps in and adds and contributes is a part of it. And so that's the idea.
And I think it's I think we both realized throughout the campaign that it meant more to us than just a campaign for a fundraiser. I think it really, because the both of us were kind of throwing the word movement around before.
Yeah.
And I think it was mainly because in our minds this was the true identity of what it is. So that's why you and I were sometimes talking about the Wave of Change movement and not only about the Wave of Change fundraiser.
Yeah.
Even at the very beginning, before the launch, I think that was our deep feeling about it, about what it actually was, and
the potential,
and the potential there was for the community there. And I think this, expanding it into something different, something more community based that can bring people together and then create this hive of just humans who want a better world. I think that's all we are. I think we're just a bunch of humans that get together because we want to make the world a better place for us and for everyone and for our future generations. And I think that's just the whole point. And I do really believe there is no human on the planet that doesn't want a better tomorrow. I think that's just that's at the core of who we are, and whatever our circumstances are, I think we just want to live together in peace. But yeah, so I think it's what we are doing from now on is trying to find the best ways to construct safe spaces for people to come together and to create this wave of change community. And it's very important for me to also note that it was basically inspired by Ren and his story, but then it goes way beyond him and his story, and it's the
exactly.
expansion goes into who we are as human beings and what we want to do together and how we can connect. And I think that's the part where we're at now. It's not only about Ren anymore.
Exactly. It's definitely inspired by him, but it's taken on a bigger life. And also, this Discord is open to other people, not just Ren fans. And there's space for hopefully everybody, as long as you share a little bit of the idea of what we're doing and try to contribute to this community, and believe that how little some days it may be, you are capable of bringing positive change into the world.